Bright suns, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars with Maggie Levitt. Today's episode is going to be short and sweet. We're going to answer some questions from Twitter, and I'm going to briefly talk about some of the super awesome and generally incredible Star Wars news that we got this week. So right out of the gate, we got a Bad Batch trailer for the series that starts on May 4th. I am so excited about the prospect of what the series might give us. Mostly, I'm just really excited about the presence of Fennec Shand. I hope that we learn more about her character as we kind of lead up to the Book of Boba Fett, which I am still very excited about. So that was really exciting. It seems like the Bad Batch will end up being more interesting than I had previously expected it to. So I'm excited for that first 70-minute episode. I don't think we know yet how many episodes there's going to be in the whole season, but I'm looking forward to whatever they give us. So that was like one day this week, and then the next day they're just like, oh hey, by the way, here's the cast list for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which starts filming soon. So that was super exciting. It was also really fun to see some familiar faces on there. Of course, Aunt Beru and Owen are returning, which was kind of a given. Obviously, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, and then there were a bunch of new cast members. I was particularly excited to see O'Shea Jackson on there. I've worked with him before, and he is such a sweetheart, and so I love seeing people that I like getting cast in Star Wars. So that's really exciting, and the cast just is incredible, and it makes me even more excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I was already like really excited for. So I'm sure there's going to be people leaking, as they always do. Don't do that. Don't share it. Don't ruin this for people who want to be left like in the dark about their favorite franchise. If you follow me on Twitter, you know how I feel about leaks, and it drives me up the wall. I much prefer when things come from the official channels. This week and all of the Star Wars news we got just felt so like exciting and organic and fun because it came from Star Wars. It came through press releases and official channels, and that makes it more exciting for me, and I know for a lot of other people, because there's no question of, oh, we've been told this thing, but it's not official, so like we're going to build all of our hopes and expectations on not true information. So that's just like my high horse. And then after this super exciting Disney Plus news this week, we got some really awesome publishing news. If you watch my channel, you know that I am a huge Expanded Universe fan. I have a collection of Expanded Universe books on my bookshelf. It is something that means so much to me as a Star Wars fan, and it's just really exciting to see them kind of commemorating Legends, as they call it now, for the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. Del Rey Publishing is putting out 3 Legends collections, Shatterpoint, the Darth Bane book, and Timothy Zahn's Heir of the Empire. Really excited to see those new covers. The art just looks absolutely gorgeous. Probably going to have to get a couple copies of those. And even more exciting is the fact that it's not just these 3 books that they're doing reprints and recovers for, but it sounds like there's going to be more Legends collections. I'm mostly excited about this because I know there are a lot of Star Wars fans who have never really dipped their toes into the Expanded Universe, and this gives them an opportunity to kind of enjoy the creme de la creme, the best of the best, without feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of Expanded Universe books that there are. So it's fun. I hope this introduces more Star Wars fans to the characters that so many of us have loved for our whole lives. And it's just great to know that no one's ever really gone, and that means no one's ever really gone in the books either. These books still live on forever. The Disney acquisition did not suddenly make the books vanish from your bookshelves. Some people act a little crazy. I know I jokingly say that I'm a bitter EU fan, but that's just because I don't have Jaina and Jason and Anakin in my life anymore. It's fine. I'm not going to get into that today. But it was such a great week of news. Super exciting to have so much excitement on my Twitter feed instead of people complaining about things. Though, of course, everyone found a way to still complain about the good stuff. But you know what? Hold on to the things that bring you joy, and that's all that really matters. This week, coming up, we have a couple of Star Wars books that are coming out. Kristen Baver's book comes out on the 6th. I have not got my copy yet to review, but I'm so excited to read this book. And I just want to remind people, not that I think these people watch my YouTube channel, but if a book is embargoed, maybe don't take screenshots of your advanced reader's copy and post it all over the internet before the book comes out and before embargo lifts. That's not cool. And it's really tacky, and it's just not chill. So don't do that. If you are in a position where you are lucky enough to receive an ARC, treat it like that. You're very lucky. There are a lot of people who fight to get on that list, and not everybody does. And you ruin it for all of us if you break embargoes. That's just that. Speaking of books that are not embargoed, Sarah Kuhn's Dr. Aphra book comes out on the 6th. I'm going to link my review down in the description. Super awesome. If you read listened to the Dr. Aphra audio drama last summer, it is essentially the same audio drama. The only difference is that you get like the fun, like in between scene action stuff. And I just really like how Sarah Kuhn writes. And Dr. Aphra is such a joy to read. She's absolutely hilarious, and it's such a good book. So be sure to check that out. It comes out also on the 6th. And it's definitely worth an addition to your own library of Star Wars books. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to answering a few questions from Twitter. As always, I love hearing from all of you. So always feel free to send me messages either on Twitter in like my mentions or my DMs, or you can drop them here in the comments on YouTube. I love hearing from all of you. All right, let's get to the questions from Twitter. First up is Kamose Mills. Are you planning to buy any of the new edition trade paperbacks of the Legends books? And if so, what other Star Wars EU novels would you like to see get that treatment? Oh my gosh, any of the New Jedi Order books. I love those books so much as a kid. Honestly, I would love to see them kind of combined into like a collection, like a really cool like collector's edition. Because I love those books so much. I also really love the X-Wing books, and I would love to see those get trade paperbacks or even hardcovers. I just like seeing the EU books being commemorated, so of course I'm going to be excited about any of them that they choose, even if they're not like my top 10 picks from the expanded universe. But yeah, I'll probably end up getting Heir to the Empire at the very least, because I miss this book so much. Oh, this is a great question. So Arzu, who has not read the Expanded Universe, asked, best place in Legends for someone to start if they're curious about it. Honestly, I think Heir to the Empire is a really great introduction into the Expanded Universe. But I would also say the New Jedi Order is by far my personal favorite collection, and that is a lot of books, but I would say like start from the beginning of that series and read through it, because I think that has a lot of the main storylines that people reflect back on the most often, and I think that there's a lot in that series that they've pulled from for what we've seen on screen, so there's going to be some familiar kind of story arcs and allusions. But those would definitely be my favorites. The Thrawn books are always good, but of course we're getting new Thrawn, and that's essentially just Disney canon era Thrawn, so there's no point in rereading the old Expanded Universe Thrawn. Let's see. Norhal asked, if you had a choice on a Star Wars planet to create a story on it, which planet would you choose? Oh, easy. I would choose Naboo. Yeah, so not to do sad The Rise of Skywalker hour, but I had a pipe dream idea a couple weeks back, because I've always reflected on the fact that both Ben and Rey are technically from Naboo, Naboo is where Palpatine's from and where Padme's from. So obviously Rey has this connection to Naboo, and I've always kind of liked this idea of having Rey kind of go on a journey of exploring who Ben was and who the Solos were and who the Skywalkers were and who the Amidala's were. And so it'd be really cool to see Rey go to Naboo and not only learn about the history of this person who she lost, but also to learn more about her own family history. And I just think there's a lot of potential for some really good, like, making me cry moments. So I think that'd be really fun. And now I'm sad. Thank you for that. Let's see. How do you feel about the Lego 10,030 Ultimate Collector Series Imperial Star Destroyer? I'm impressed by anyone who builds the Lego sets. I have no patience anymore as an adult, so I would never be able to do that. So more power to all of you Legos collectors and builders. I am constantly impressed. Nissa Urso asked, would you like to see more Jen Urso's story, movie, series, comics, and why? Of course I do. Jen Urso's my girl. I love her. Would love to see a comic about her story, especially if that means we get more Saw Gerrera, because I love Saw. But with the Cassian Andor series coming out and us learning more about Cassian's earlier years, or at least the lead up to Rogue One, it does make me want to see like tie-in material to see more of Jen Urso's story, because I do love Jen. But I would settle for someone writing a book, another kind of pre-Rogue One book about her and her exploits. I'm never going to say no to more of my favorite characters. And then Nissa also asked, who is your favorite which favorite actor of yours would you like to see in a Star Wars, and who would you like to see them play? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I have so many actors who I would love to see in a Star Wars. I would love to see Jon Bernthal in a Star Wars. I'm a huge Jon Bernthal fan. I think he brings so much heart to any role that he plays. So I would love to see him in a Star Wars. I would also love to see Gael Garcia Bernal in a Star Wars, specifically if it could be with Diego Luna, because they're friends, and I think that would be great. Oh gosh. Obviously, like, I'd love to see Chris Pine. This is like no surprise. Would love to see Chris Pine in the Star Wars, particularly one directed by Patty Jenkins. If she wants to do that, I will be happy to watch that. But oh god, there's so many incredibly talented actors. Like Tessa Thompson. I would love to see her in Star Wars. I would love to see her playing a Jedi. I think one of the things that has me so excited about the High Republic in particular is that there's so much opportunity for new characters and new stories that we might eventually see on screen. So there's a lot of hope there that some of my favorite actors might end up in roles and something about that. But I do think that's a little bit, down the line. I don't think we're expecting any unexpected Star Wars films for a while. Donnie asked, what is a piece of Star Wars merchandise you got as a kid that you have a strong connection to or have to this day? Are there any particular things you might have missed out on? What would you like to find someday? Toys, comics, books, games? Oh gosh. I have a Padme and a Qui-Gon Jinn from The Phantom Menace that I got at KB Toys when I was a kid. They are my only two Star Wars action figures from my childhood. I do also have a lightsaber somewhere. I don't think it's in my room currently. That I got, actually two. I have Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber and I have Anakin's lightsaber. I got both of those, I believe, during Attack of the Clones. So they're getting up there in age, just like I am. But I didn't really have a lot of Star Wars merch when I was a kid. I had a Yoda t-shirt, like Small But Mighty or something like that. Those those of you watching this who are from my generation will recall that there was not a lot of girls Star Wars merchandise. If you wanted girl Star Wars merchandise, it was going to be a badly made Princess Leia or Padme costume for Halloween. All of the like cute T-shirts were only in the boys section, and they were like dorky things like small but mighty with like Yoda on it. So there wasn't a lot. And I wasn't too big into Star Wars action figures when I was a kid. At that age, I was actually really into Lord of the Rings, and I have like 40 Lord of the Rings action figures. And so that's actually more of what like I collected as a kid. I don't know if I feel like I missed out on stuff. I feel like I missed out on some of the like the drink classes from, I think, Burger King. It was either Taco Bell or Burger King that did the Phantom Menace drink glasses with the figures on the top. And then there were the like lightsaber spoons, which I talked about in the last video, which I think I had one or I got it from someone like in my family, and I don't know where that went. That's been a long time ago. I think I just missed out on some of the like super kitschy stuff, the children's like Happy Meal stuff is what I really feel like I missed out on. I'm always looking for a Cade Skywalker action figure. There were a few made back in the day of the expanded universe, i.e. like mid-aughts. I'm always looking for that. For some reason, it's like outrageous. So I keep hoping that, you know, with Lucasfilm doing so much kind of commemorating their history, that they'll decide to do a black series of some of the expanded universe characters, and I won't have to keep looking for a vintage toy. I can look for a new toy, because I would definitely want a Cade Skywalker. I will say these two figures I have from the Phantom Menace were the Comlink toys, and I lost the Comlinks. So if I could find a Qui-Gon Jinn and a Padme Comlink to like replace just those two Comlinks, I'd be really happy. So I think that answers your question, Donnie. Let's see. August asked, what are your biggest hopes for the next trilogy? What are some Star Wars pitches you have? What are your thoughts on the Legacy comic series? Oh, goodness. The Legacy comics I love. I actually just re-downloaded them on Comixology a couple weeks ago and just, like, devoured them. I really miss those. I enjoyed them immensely. As far as trilogies, I think... this is going to get me kicked out of the Rian Johnson fan club. I personally don't want Rian Johnson or anyone to do another trilogy. I think trilogies leave room for grievous mistakes. Now, I'm saying this in a way that I don't think Rian Johnson would do this, because I think Rian Johnson has a really great grasp on storytelling, and I think he has a really great creative vision, and he knows how to do a beginning, middle, and end, where some other creators, J.J. Abrams, might not know how to do that kind of storytelling, because trilogies are a very different creature. So, like, for instance, I have full trust in Rian Johnson to do his Knives Out trilogy. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and that's because he is the, like, sole arbiter of that lore. Whereas Star Wars, there's always the room for potential of something happening and a trilogy head not being able to fulfill the whole trilogy, and then somebody coming in and being like, I'm going to make my own changes. I'm going to do my own cut. And then, like, 20 years in the future, we end up with, like, some weird group of fans calling for a 4-hour director's cut. Or, like, 4 years in the future. So trilogies, to me, are kind of, like, not a number one thing for me. I would much prefer to see a lot of really talented directors and writers given the opportunity to do solo films. I think that the strongest film that Star Wars has ever put out is Rogue One, and I think it's because it is this isolated story. Yes, we're getting this Cassian Andor series, which I think is great, but I like the idea of having a solo story that then can spawn more stories. So, for instance, with Solo, I would love for them to do an Enfys Nest series. I think that would be extremely fun and something that they should really consider doing. I would even settle for, like, a lengthy Dr. Aphra style Infus comic series. But I have strong feelings about trilogies, and I think it's just because I've been burnt so many times by trilogies. Star Trek and Star Wars have burnt me with trilogies, so not to mention Lord of the Rings again, but obviously Peter Jackson had complete control over his trilogy, and it was good. So I don't know. I don't have any hopes or aspirations for trilogies. I really sincerely hope that Disney considers not doing more trilogies, but rather independent stories, and then the potential for interconnected stories. Kind of like how they do with the Avengers, which is a bad comparison because I have thoughts about the Avenger franchise as well. But the structure works. You can have characters coming in and out of other stories, and it's all interconnected and interwoven. So I would be really keen to see something like that. As far as my own pitches, I talked about this a little bit in, it was either my first or second episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars last year. I have no desire to do this myself, but I would love to see somebody do like a young Rose and Paige story. I think that there are some really very talented writers out there right now who could really tackle something like that and create an absolutely stunning and compelling story. And I would love to see Kelly Marie Tran come back and play that role again, because I think that she got done extremely dirty in The Rise of Skywalker, and I think that character has a lot more potential for stories. I still want a Satine and Bo-Katan series as well. I want to know more about the sisters and Mandalore and the complexities of Mandalore. I'm hoping that, we at least get some reference to Satine and Obi-Wan. I'll settle for a flashback. But I do really want live action Satine now that we've gotten live action Bo-Katan. I feel like there was somebody else who asked me a question and now it's not showing up. Maybe it was on my original post. Let's see. Yes, I did have more questions. I knew I had more questions. Donnie was another one that had asked me a question about which Kenobi cast member am I most excited about. And I think I kind of hinted at that at the beginning. I'm really excited for O'Shea Jackson. Super sweet actor. Really excited to see him in a Star Wars. I'm also really excited to see Kamal and Dara. That's just everybody. Also excited to see Moses. I saw that she is from Maryland, so Maryland represents. Super excited to see what all of these characters are going to be and how they connect to the Obi-Wan story. So I'm just generally excited all over the place. Waffles asked, what from Legends would you like to see become canon? Cade Skywalker. It's not going to happen because they killed the last Skywalker, but yeah, I really will forever and always be mad about Cade because he was fun. But in general, I will always be sad that we didn't get Jaina and Jason. I remember for a brief period of time when I thought, oh wow, maybe they'll actually do Reylo. I thought there's the potential for Rey and Ben to have twins, and Jason and Jaina could be born anew, but I didn't get that now, did I? Why is everything sad The Rise of Skywalker today? Jeez. Mahore asked, do you think we'll ever get a Rey and Finn series on Disney Plus? I never want to say never, but I don't wish that on John Boyega. John Boyega is such an incredibly talented actor. He has so much potential for, honestly, he is definitely somebody who I could see getting an Oscar nomination one day. I'm super excited to see that he, got a BAFTA and an Emmy, and he's getting up there in terms of roles that he can get that will land him among the stars. And so I just don't want him to fall back into Star Wars, because we've obviously read a lot of the stuff, in terms of racism that he has been met with in the Star Wars fandom, as well as making the films. He doesn't need to be in an environment like that. That would only hold him back from the potential he has. So I would love to see him do other things, and then maybe in 20 years, have a reunion. where are Rey and Finn 20 years in the future, and Poe and Chewie and everyone. But I feel like after that trilogy, it's time to just let it rest for a while, and then maybe in 20 years, all of us will have different feelings about how the franchise, that part of the franchise, closed. Hopefully that answers that question. I just don't see it happening. And then Elin asked, how do you feel about the trans and non-binary representation that Star Wars put out on the Trans Day of Visibility? And do you feel that it put non-binary people into a stereotypical role? This is a great question. So for those of you who may not be as active on social media, Star Wars put out a post on Instagram and Facebook for Trans Day of Visibility, featuring two of the characters from the High Republic comics who are trans and non-binary characters. It was super great to see them supporting trans non-binary fans on that day, and of course, given everything that has been going on in the Star Wars fandom since last September, it was really nice to see them make a statement. Of course, those statements are only worth so much if there's no action behind them. It's great to post about all of the different important causes on the days that are allotted for social media posting, but that has to be there all year round. So I hope that this is the beginning of improving representation in Star Wars. I will say there's been a lot of really great conversations about how the characters in the High Republic are a great first step, but they're not a great representation. Both of these characters are very odd looking, they speak in an odd fashion, and they create what a lot of people have been talking about, this kind of like alien othering thing, which isn't super great. And I'm obviously in no way anything more than an ally, and being able to like just acknowledge what other people that this directly affects have been saying. But it seems like the general consensus is that it's a great first step, but they obviously need to do much more. So fingers crossed that now, with all of this stuff that's been going on over on Wikipedia this week, and just the general weirdness and horribleness, that things are going to keep getting better and progressing forward. So that's what we can all and should all be hoping for. But that is all of the questions that I got this week. This is only a nice 30-minute video. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the links down in the description. Pick up Sarah Kuhn's book and Kristen Baver's book this week. And be sure to, hang out on Twitter and have a good time. As always, may the Force be with you, and the Nihil are right.